I mean, I think a lot of agents get edgy about like Redfin or whatever, Zillow. I actually like it because I tell them, send me everything, send me anything that appeals to you. And what I can do is I can deep dive on the back end and I can say, oh, this has been on and off the market for the last 50 days and there's a tenant in there who's not leaving. And because that's not in the public comments, it's in the private.
Hello and welcome to Here in LA, Larchmont Village edition. Today, we sit down with Alexandria Dionne, who is a realtor based in Larchmont Village. She answers all the questions that you gave. What questions? Where were these questions? Well, if you have Facebook, Here in LA has a Facebook group. It's at facebook.com/groups/Here in LA. There we talk about every single episode. There's pictures, there's stuff that we haven't even covered, some stuff that's upcoming. The Facebook group is really awesome. And you guys asked great questions, and Alex was nice enough to answer all of them. So buckle up as we get to know about her family, Larchmont Village, and the ins and outs of LA home buying and selling. I am in Larchmont Village with Alex Dionne.
Hi.
Is that how you say it?
I'll be honest, that's my stepfather's name and I just have always had it. So I always knew it as Alex Dionne. Like the Dionne quintuplets, like out of Canada.
So you are a realtor here in Larchmont Village.
Yeah.
What's this building I'm in? What's your dealership?
So we are Keller Williams Larchmont.
Keller Williams.
Yeah. Keller Williams is all over the country and in other parts of, other countries now too. But it's a pretty big brokerage firm, but they're all independently owned. So this one is the Larchmont one.
So on your business card, does it say Alex Dionne?
I think I have my full name.
Which is?
Alexandria.
Oh.
I don't know why, because I never go by it, but...
You still go by Alex?
Yeah.
We knew each other in college. Mm-hmm. Beautiful Santa Barbara.
Yes.
And now you are selling some of the most expensive homes in California.
I guess, yeah. It's so funny because I think about that. I'm like, there's so many agents selling way more expensive homes than I am, so it's hard to say that. It's all relative, yeah.
What's the in this office? We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
In this office, what's the average listing price of the homes that you sell?
So in Hancock Park, I actually did run. I forgot to print it out, but I did run some numbers, and from what we often base this off of the price per square foot. And so the average price per square foot is typically anywhere from $900 to $1,000 a square foot. So, but in terms of like the average price, I ran it for 2021, and the average price there was like 350 homes sold from January 1 to now.
Wow,
and
that seems like a lot to me.
Not this January, but January 2021 to now, like 350 homes.
So one a day.
Yeah. And of course, that's agents all over the city, whoever the agents are, not just here. But the average price was about 1.7.
Huh.
So.
In Larchmont Village?
Yeah.
Am I going to find a lot of $1.7 million houses?
Yeah.
I am?
And more.
Well, I know it's going to be more.
Actually, more, yeah.
But I'm just a humble podcaster. All I got is 1.7.
Well, okay, so I would say you're not going to find a lot. But so when the real estate multiple listing service, that's what you enter your information on, and that's where you say, I have a listing on Larchmont, and you put it in the multiple listing service, and then it goes out into the world.
Right.
So they have areas and they have numbers, and Hancock Park is number 18, is okay. Area 18. And so it goes from about like just on the other side of La Brea, like Citrus, McCadden, like over that. In fact, sorry, Citrus is further, like around Citrus area, like pre-La Brea, like east of La Brea. Melrose, essentially. Then to almost basically Western, like almost to Western, and then even down to like Olympic
Okay.
down there. So that's roughly the area.
That's
you know.
MLS 18.
Area 18
Pretty sweet.
for Hancock Park.
Pretty sweet area, right?
And then, like, for example, Atwater is like area 1025. I don't know why.
Shout out to Atwater.
I love Atwater. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Is it your favorite,
It
really?
is my favorite, actually, yeah.
That's so nice to hear.
I love it. I love Atwater.
Okay, but we're giving love to Larchmont right now.
Okay, we're in Larchmont.
So in Area 18, we've got to keep it real in this podcast.
Okay.
Your bottom is 1.5, 1.7, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be an 18, you got to have some money.
Yeah.
And it peaks. Well, I don't even want to say peak. You were in a $4 million house yesterday on your Instagram. Mm-hmm. A beautiful house.
Yeah.
With really high ceilings.
Yeah.
That was redone, right?
Yeah.
They made those ceilings that high.
They had what probably I don't recall the house before, but I think what happened is oftentimes it'll have the peak, but it's been drywalled, so then they just blow through that and go up to the rafters.
Which is genius, right?
Oh, it's so smart.
Because it's probably easy to do.
Right.
As opposed to extending a kitchen into the backyard.
Yes.
Because
right.
what does it take to do that?
Yeah. Right.
And we don't get a lot of rain or snow, so
right.
It doesn't have to be super crazy sturdy.
Right. it feels so much bigger. I mean, when you can imagine anywhere you've been, you have these soaring ceilings. You're like, oh, it's huge.
And it worked on you. You
right.
noticed how big those were.
Indeed. Yeah.
So that $4 million house.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I grew up in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. That did not seem like a $4 million house to me. It was decorated very nice.
Yeah.
Obviously tasteful people.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger rooms than normal.
Yeah.
But no backyard, really.
I know.
Was there even a pool back there?
There was.
There was a little pool.
Yeah, but it was it took up the whole backyard. There was there wasn't even really, if you walked right out of the back bedroom, they had a little seating area set up. But it wasn't you go into a lot of homes around here, there's a seating area, there's an eating area, there's a hang space, maybe there's a pool, but that just had a little seating area and the pool and the back fence.
It seems to me that was a location house, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I worked at Paramount and let's say I was a gay couple, not planning on having kids, mm-hmm. the backyard's not interesting to me mm-hmm. at all. I'm of a certain age where I'm just going to jump in that pool on a really hot day, but it's really for looks.
Right.
Maybe $4 million if I've got that kind of FU money,
mm-hmm.
but it doesn't blow me away as a house, right?
Yeah.
If I'm paying $4 million, hook me up in Westwood,
mm-hmm.
right? Where
yes.
I can have some land,
mm-hmm.
where I can have a party and everybody can park on the street.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong in thinking that way about that particular house?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say about that house is it had that back office and it was upstairs, downstairs.
Yes.
They didn't have a kitchen though, which I was surprised by.
Okay, so you said that on your Instagram feed,
mm-hmm.
and I just assumed you just missed the kitchen.
I didn't see it. I saw a bathroom upstairs, but I didn't see
no
a kitchen
in the entire house?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. In the back house.
Okay.
So typically, since 2017, Jerry Brown said, we need more housing. So let's make it, all these people who have these illegal spaces in their backyards, let's make them legal, let's make them permitted. And this is now sanctioned, and they called it the additional dwelling unit, or
nice.
a granny flat.
Right.
So anymore, most of them, if they have that much design and that much redoneness to the house, typically they'd put in a little kitchenette.
Which isn't hard to do.
It's not hard.
It doesn't take a lot of space.
No.
It's a sink. And what else?
A little spot
fridge?
for a fridge. Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Is that listed as Windsor or as Larchmont?
So it's part of Area 18, so it's technically called Hancock Park.
Oh.
But when they wrote the description, I'm pretty sure the description says Windsor Square.
Is Hancock Park a better name for when you're selling a house?
I mean, I think once upon a time it was. I mean, I definitely had clients who were like, I absolutely need to be in Hancock Park, which is slightly further west of us from Larchmont, and it isn't even south of here. Like when you go south of Third, those houses are sick. I mean, that was the original Beverly Hills.
That's right.
And they're stunning. I mean,
Yeah.
like Shonda Rhimes has lived down there. Like amazing.
I picked up the little girl from Mad Men there as an Uber driver.
Oh, you did?
Who has grown up and was so great. Her and her friends were just like going through Broadway plays that they had seen, like just one after another, singing the songs. It was so cute.
That's awesome.
Whatever your name is, Caitlin, whatever. Kieran.
I don't even
Shout
remember.
out, you girl. That was a fun ride.
But that whole area, what I love about Larchmont, Hancock Park, Windsor Square, whatever you want to call it, what I love is there's something here called an HPOZ, and that means a historic preservation overlay zone. And so that means you can't just tear down a building and put up some ugly ass monstrosity.
Good.
And so that's why you see that things look of a piece. They have the telltale Spanish tile roofs, or whatever the style is. They can't just tear it apart and put up a McMansion.
Great.
So the other part of that is they can't just instantly put in hedging and fencing either.
Oh.
So that's why when you walk around here, that's why you can see all the houses.
I never realized that before. You can.
Yeah, you can just you take a stroll down like Lorraine or wherever, like Plymouth, like south of Third, like these houses are sick. They're stunning. And
Wilton has turned into a major thoroughfare.
yes.
Because it cuts right through the city beautifully.
Yes.
You're right about the hedges.
Yeah.
There's only one that I've seen major hedges on,
Yeah.
but that's it.
If it's there, then it was there. Then you can't, because I can't remember when the HPOZ, somebody probably in your audience will be able to say, oh, in whatever, 2005 is when they established the HPOZ. But when if you had hedging then, you're grandfathered in, but you can't just add a fence like willy-nilly. Typically it's like low bushes you can add.
Right.
But I think that's what makes it so beautiful and pleasant around here, whereas like in Beverly Hills you got those massive fences and the big trees and you can't see shit.
Yeah. Part of the selling point, I'd imagine, of Larchmont is the street that we're on right now, which is Larchmont.
Yeah.
This is, I guess you'd call it quaint,
Adorable. Yeah.
but how do you call it quaint when it's also the most expensive, like real retail zone
Yes.
out there? But it is quaint. I mean, that pizza place is old.
Totally.
A lot of this is mixed old and new.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of chains on this block. I think the drugstore is a chain. There might be a Domino's Pizza over there, but for the most
Maybe the
part,
bank. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Both banks.
Right, both banks. Right. Actually, 3 banks, right? Yeah, there's 3. Yeah. Yeah.
And real estate businesses obviously
Yeah.
are here. But for the most part, you will find a Salt in a Straw here that's doing great business.
Yeah. Great.
Because
business.
it does feel like Main Street USA back in the day.
That's right. Yeah.
Except these people just happen to be able to afford a $4 million house.
That's right.
But they're walking their dogs.
Yep.
They're dressed bad. Right?
Yep.
It's like a real
Yeah.
slice of life. They just happen to be rich as fuck.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a selling point when you're selling a house? I would imagine it has to be.
Oh, 100%. For sure.
Because who doesn't want to stroll down here?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I helped my clients buy a house just south of here, and I went and got Jenny's ice cream because there's 2 ice cream shops, and with my daughter. And then I hear my name, and I turn around and see it's my client, like who'd been living kind of further west of us, and he was with his son and his dad, and he was like, "This is fantastic," And I'm like, seeing you on the street. I mean, where else are you going to do that in LA? We're all in our cars. Like, you truly are walking in LA here.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Okay, I have questions for you
Please.
from the audience of here in LA.
I hope I can answer them.
Let's keep these short
Okay.
because I'm sure you could go on and on. By the way, you are of mixed background.
I am, indeed.
What are you, Alex?
I've been asked that before. So my dad is African American, Native American, and who knows what else is up in there. Also, there's supposedly some Haitian mix, like a Creole, because I guess a great grandmother's last name was Lejeune. So there was a French, kind of New Orleans Haitian vibe that was happening.
The best vibe. No
Yes,
disrespect to
some
anybody
damn
else.
good food too. And then my mom she passed a while ago, but she was Austrian Polish, Jew, New York, like born and bred New York, like the kind of New Yorker who like didn't drive, like till she was older, and die hard New Yorker.
You are married with children.
Yeah.
What race is your husband?
He's white, I guess. I think he has some Native American, but he's from Oklahoma, so they claim that there's some there, but they've never, gone down the full path to find out.
You've children.
Yeah.
A 16-year-old and
I have a 13-year-old too, yeah.
both teenagers in the house. Okay, do they identify as mixed, or do they even talk about that kind of thing?
They talk about it, and we'll kind of joke about it and be like, because you're black, you can, but we'll say things like that, and like, but they're like, well, they'll be like, well, Mom, if you were more, we would be able to claim more, but you're not. So they're like, we're like an eighth, so you suck.
No, we'll tell them this. It was enough to get you hung back in the day. So own it.
Oh my God, I'm going to tell them that. They're going to.
Because it is,
they're
right?
actually going to really.
The octoroos got hung right next to.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the questions. Mm-hmm. Let's see if their questions are better than mine. Joe Armstrong asks, when, if ever, will regular people be able to afford houses in LA again? As if that's your fault.
Oh, I have worked with a number of clients that are not in the multi-million. Those, for me personally, as an agent, there's a lot of agents in my office who work with big money clients. I'm not that person. Occasionally one will kind of pass through that I happen to meet or know from somebody else. But I would argue, look, I've sold a lot of condos. I helped a client get into a house in Sun Valley. Have you ever been in Sun Valley?
Of course.
Yeah, it's great out there.
It is great.
And they have a whole equestrian thing out there.
You can have a backyard.
Oh my God. My client got into a house for $560,000. She has over 9,000 square foot of land. She has 3 horses and stalls. She has 2. There are people walking their horses through there. I mean,
20-minute drive to
Yes.
Universal City.
Yep.
Or 40-minute horse run.
Right. So I do think that there are places that you can get in LA.
You just need to forget about the Santa Monica to downtown swath.
I agree. Right. Yeah. I think, when you look at places like West Adams and Jefferson Park, like, what I feel like the canary in the coal mine is like the brewery. There's a big brewery that just opened up. I think it's called Benny Boys. I got to give a shout out to my
In West Adams?
Yeah, it's like near West Adams, and honestly, like that's changing all up in there. And
So you're saying if a brewery pops up, that's gentrification.
I think so.
And maybe it's too late to move into that neighborhood.
I would argue that is not true for West Adams. That's
Good.
my opinion.
Good, because when I was an Uber driver, I'd never known about it because I didn't go to SC. I think Trojans know about it.
Yes.
But I was shocked. Not only were I shocked at how big those houses were, but there's no bars on the windows.
Right.
So
Right.
they're like, you're the racist.
Right. And Jefferson Park, too, is really interesting. Like, I mean, it's easy to get to downtown. You're on that corridor, Pico, that Venice Pico corridor. You can get to West Side really easily.
The Expo line?
Yep.
Excellent answer. Scott Sterling,
Yes.
a true black man from Detroit.
Nice.
Has she ever sold a home to a black person who wasn't famous?
Yes. So I had a client, the one who I said was from Chicago, and helped sell her auntie's house in Village Green near Culver. she's African American. She's
Great.
not. One.
6 years, one, Scott Sterling.
Dang it.
Keisha Geron, who is a gaucho when we were there.
Oh.
How can I stop realtors from leaving flyers, notepads, tacky plastic pumpkins, and made in China USA flags on my porch every day?
Oh man, that I feel her. I really do. I actually don't like that either. I hate it. But I know so many agents who do it, and for the longest time, that was a way to let people in your neighborhood know, like, I'm your neighborhood person. You know, here's a little pumpkin you can carve, and you know, here's a flag for 4th of July. You know,
Have you left anything?
No, but I have door knocked.
Oh.
So, you know, typically what I would do is if I had a listing or if I had a client who was looking in a neighborhood, I would do like a rundown of comparables, they call them comps, of the area, and say, okay, here's what's sold in the last year or whatever, and here's the average price per square foot. And I would print it out and have my little name on it, and I would knock on the door. And it's the weirdest, hardest thing to do is knock on a stranger's door, but crazy the amount of information you get and actually how friendly people are.
Good.
And if somebody was home, they'd be like, oh yeah, oh right, I wait a minute, what did that house sell for down there? Oh, I knew them, I'm so glad they're gone. You know? And so if I
And also talking about people's neighborhoods, their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And for sure talking about their house or
Yeah.
their block. That's got to be on the top of their list of things that they want to talk about, right?
100%. They want to know what their house is worth. Yeah, what's sold, who's selling, you know.
Shannon Marie Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't anything ever sold as is? Hold on, maybe she wrote this wrong. Is the real estate agent banned from throwing in their own money to get 3 guys to haul out a bunch of trash and raise the price by $100,000? That would raise the commission too, right? So I always wondered why the super trashed houses are ever listed like that. So why are they sold as is?
So, you know, every agent and how they deal with their client is different. So, you know, I have had situations where I've worked for one client multiple times, and if they have something that's coming up and, you know, maybe they are older and they can't get to it or they can't fix something, I've definitely just fixed whatever. I've had things painted. I've definitely had things cleaned on my dime, and sometimes I've helped partially stage. That can get very expensive.
So it's not illegal for you to throw in a few bucks?
Oh gosh, no.
Because you know, okay,
Yeah.
that $4 million house.
Yeah.
The person who sells it's going to make how much?
So the average commission is about 5%. And so that goes to the listing agent, 2.5, and then to the buyer's agent, 2.5. Sometimes.
I was a poetry major.
Yeah.
Is that 10 grand each? Is that 200 grand each?
Let's just do the math.
Pulling
real
out her
quick.
calculator.
Yeah, let's just.
Even
do
though
it.
she knows.
I want to make sure I get it right. Okay, so if you have a $4 million house, then you.
People at home are like, are you guys stoners? It's $100,000.
I was a poli-sci major. It is $100,000. So it's
For
$100,000 each. Yeah.
Each.
So it's
Okay.
$200,000 total. But
So wait a second though.
Yeah.
$100 grand.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's why you're knocking on doors.
Right?
That's why you're cleaning the fucking house.
I'm telling you.
$100 grand.
Yeah. But you got to pay taxes out of that. You've got to, you know, there are fees. You have brokerage fees.
Those are the taxes I want to pay. Off of $100 grand?
I know.
How? Okay, hold on.
Can I tell you something else about the weight commission too?
Sure.
Okay. So sometimes the selling agent or the listing agent, actually it's called the listing agent will negotiate with the owner, and they'll say, okay, the average commission is 5%, 2.5 each side. If I can bring the buyer, meaning I represent the buyer too, I'll give you a little discount on the commission.
Nice.
And where that shows up as an agent, if I'm looking at a listing, there's a little area that says broker advantage. And broker advantage means just that. Like or the listing agent is giving the owner an advantage. They have the advantage. If they bring a buyer, the owner may want to go with their buyer because they're going to pay less in commission. Not a lot of agents like to do it, especially on these kind of actually bigger houses like this, because it can get really dicey.
Yeah.
Like, it's called dual agency. And if the buyer feels that you are not really representing their needs, because maybe you're more in cahoots with the listing, or their perception is that you are more towards, you're offering more services to the owner than to the buyer, then the buyer could get really pissed.
If you were selling a house, would you want to do it that way?
No.
You want your own person fighting for you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 100% yes.
Ben Sullivan, nicest guy in LA. What percentage of homes are haunted? And which was the most in need of ghost busting? And Asher Garber asked this too. Did you know Asher from Santa Barbara?
No.
He asks, how many ghosts have you come across? What is it with ghosts?
I don't know.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
You do?
Well, I believe in like a spirit, like an entity, like a feeling, a vibe. But I've never personally, I've been in some houses where, there's the secret door. Like some of these Hancock Park houses, like you push the button and you're like, oh, where am I? Like, was this the speakeasy?
Right.
I've definitely walked into houses where there's for sure, there was a speakeasy.
Huge selling point, right?
Yes.
Who doesn't want that?
Oh, so cool.
First thing you're going to show the people on your tour, your show-off tour.
Yes.
Or as your kids would say, the flex tour. Right?
That's right.
I watch TikTok.
Bet.
Okay, so there's murder houses in Los Feliz.
Yeah.
Which I would imagine if there's going to be a ghost, there's going to be in a murder house.
Yeah.
You have not experienced ghosts in your travels working? You haven't had a ghost bust anything?
No. The only time I ever recall ever feeling like a little edgy was I went to a property and I knew the agent and she was letting me in, so she had a lockbox. I went in just to do a quick tour and it was by myself, but it was just during the day. But I remember walking to the backyard and kind of looking in the back house, and then their fence in the back was right on an alley. And I remember hearing something and getting a little tripped, and I was like, and then I see a face peek over the fence, and I was like you have that moment of locking eyes, and I was like, is he gonna hop the fence? And I was like, nope, out of there. Got to get out of here. I'm done.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of freaked me out. That wasn't a ghost. That was a real person. He
People are scarier.
He scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Epstein, incredible writer. Is it true that people are more likely to buy a house if it's painted white? My realtor told me years ago when I put my old house on in the market, paint it white.
Yeah. There's a lot of schools of thought on this. Like, I helped a friend of mine sell her house, and she had the sickest taste. Like, one room was literally painted this gorgeous green, but there was one room that was painted black. And so we kind of toned it down a little bit because she was like, yeah, I guess if it's a kid's room, they're not going to want it to be black. Because, what you want in a house when somebody walks in is, and this is why people stage or why they paint it white or cream, is you want to be able to walk into that house and get a feeling for it, but see yourself in it. So if things are painted like crazy ass colors, that's not in a, design wise, like I talk a lot about wallpaper. I love wallpaper. And when it's used right and like it's on the ceiling and I love it. But you have to have good taste.
Right.
And there's a lot of people with not very good taste.
Lauren Randolph. Lauren Lemon from our Los Feliz episodes. Great photographer.
Awesome.
She was on Instagram the very first day of Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding. Oh, I'm going to look her up.
How is it sustainable when there are like 0 houses in LA being sold for under $1 million? Well, Lauren Lemon, we could all move to Sun Valley next door to Huanga. Is that how you call it?
Yeah, right.
Which has a castle.
Right.
That I want to do a story about.
Right.
Just live in the Val, right? Or get a condo.
Yeah.
She's in an apartment right now in Los Feliz, a great apartment. And I think they're about to really jack up the price.
Oh, okay.
And
she's not in rent control.
No,
okay.
sadly.
Yeah.
So you would say, if you don't have kids, if you don't plan on having kids anytime soon, get a condo?
I think a condo is a great way to you start building equity. You're not throwing your money away every month. The tricky thing with condos is they have an HOA fee. So it really depends on how much that is, because that can jack up your monthly. Yeah. But I think the hardest thing to wrap your head around with owning and a mortgage and all of those fees are you get to write so much off as a homeowner. So you really have to talk to your accountant. And
give me 3 things you can write off.
So when you buy, you can write off a ton of the escrow fees. So there's a lot of fees that the buyer pays and the seller pays. And so you write off a ton of that. You can write up a portion of your interest up to, it used to be $700,000. That might have changed. Maybe one of your readers can.
People are paying $700,000 on interest? For the life?
Yeah, so that's the loan amount. So if you have a loan amount up to $700,000, you can write off a portion of the interest depending upon your tax bracket. That's all dependent upon that. Then there's also just various upgrading costs, or if you work from home, you write off a portion of that for your office. So there's a lot of, but just getting back to the idea of under $1 million. I just sent a property to a woman I've been working with, and it's a house. It's on Formosa, and it's kind of more Carthay area. It was under $1 million, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, adorable, beautifully landscaped, adorable. So, they're there.
They're out there.
They're out there.
But they ain't going to be out there long.
No, they go fast. You have to be ready.
This market is hot, right?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Although the interest rates were just kind of went up. They might have come back down. They're fluctuating a lot, but we were at everybody was sub 3%, and then my client went to get pre-approved, and it was 5%, and that makes a big difference in your monthly.
Do you have people that you could recommend for every step of buying a house and owning a house?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alex Dionne. What is this, 118 Larchmont? Uh-huh. Okay. Back to the questions.
Yeah.
How's that for a commercial?
I love it. Thank you, Tony.
Do you have an email address? Do you have a...
It's my full name at Gmail.
Alexandria?
Alexandria.
Alexandria.
Dionne, yep.
At Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super easy.
Monica has several questions for you.
Oh, good.
What is the highest transaction dollar amount that you've had? So that's the biggest house? Is that real estate?
Is that
talk?
Is that the price of the house?
So.
Okay. 5.6. I know.
So after taxes, you got $100,000.
Yeah.
Was that a party at the Dionne household?
That was a good party.
Did you really have a party?
Sort of. It was kind of a rolling, we're still celebrating, It's one of those.
Are you a religious person?
Not really. No.
Because I'd be thanking God for that.
Yeah, no, I definitely made some blessings and said thank you to my mom and dad and
On something that big.
Yeah. That was major.
But hold on. I would constantly be thinking it's gonna fuck up.
Yes.
Did you think that too?
Oh God, yes.
When can you finally relax?
That is a great question. So there's something when you buy a house. So you put an offer on a house, the seller accepts it, then you sign all the paperwork, and you're now what's called an escrow. And that's what escrow means. It's like an entity, and it's actually a physical company that manages the process. So you have to put 3% of your purchase price into the escrow account. You have 3 moments to get out of the deal as the buyer. One is during the inspection period. And that inspection period can be as many days as you can negotiate. It can be as few as 1 day, or it could be 17 days. Ooh. So it really depends on what the seller will allow. And so that's one area. Then the other contingency period is the appraisal period. So you also have a number of days for that. And then the loan period, and you have a number of days for that. So those are the 3 main moments where, as you as the buyer, you can say I'm done, I can't, I hate this. And so that's when you can get your 3% back, and you're like, I'm gone, I'm gonna look at another place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Once that's over,
Yeah. So
then you pop the champagne?
Yeah. So basically, once those contingency periods, like, okay, we've done our inspections, maybe we negotiated like some kind of credit or something, then what you do what's called remove the inspection, the contingency. So everybody has to sign, okay, I can't ask for any more credits. That's out. So by the time you get to the loan, which is all of those things are happening simultaneously. So within, I'd say, the first 10 days to 2 weeks, once you hit that mark, you're pretty much good to go. It's very rare. And escrows are usually 30 days.
Okay.
So then after the first 2 weeks, you're probably good to go.
Which neighborhood was this beautiful house?
It was Hancock Park here.
Yes.
It was south of here.
When you go past it, do you like blow it a little kiss?
I do. I literally look at it and just go, God, amazing. I love that house too. It's incredible.
There was an LAPD officer who was looking for houses at night outside of Watts and was murdered.
Oh, goodness. I didn't
And
know that.
because the police have a bad reputation of lying, all these internet detectives started looking at the listings in that area that he was murdered, and there was only one.
Wow.
And that one said, drive by okay,
Yeah.
appointment only,
Yes.
because probably somebody who owned it didn't live there, because it's kind of a dangerous neighborhood. Is that normal? What is this drive by only?
Yeah. Well,
That's a thing?
Usually it happens if there's a tenant. So if there's somebody living in there who's been in there a long time, maybe they pay a low rent, you can't bother the tenants, especially COVID, all of that. You just do not even try. Yeah.
Monica also asks, have you ever had to fire a client?
Yeah.
Because after a year, you might say, you people crazy.
Yeah. It's funny. I've never actively fired a client, but it's more like they just sort of fade away.
Right.
They sort of oh, well, we're going to take a break. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
That's good for you, right?
Yeah. And yeah.
She asks, what is the craziest thing you've seen a buyer do to get the house in the recent market? So I guess this is a buyer. I've heard of houses being sold for 20% more than listing.
Yeah, that's very
being sold
common.
almost overnight.
Yes.
People trying to slide into their DMs of the sellers.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
They'll do the internet research and be like, oh, I think I know who this person is.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've seen?
Mine aren't crazy, but definitely I've put in offers where you're waiving the appraisal contingency, meaning if it comes in, if your price is $800,000 and it comes in at $750,000, you, the buyer, you're on the hook for that extra $50,000. But otherwise, in normal circumstances, you would negotiate with the seller, and you'd be like, could you come down a little? I'll come up a little. Maybe we can meet somewhere. Yeah. But I've had to waive appraisals. Whatever happens, and they have come in under, and that sucked. But we knew going in, this may happen, and they're like, okay, I can handle it. But the other things that I've put in, and this isn't super crazy, and actually a lot of agents do this, is if the seller needs to stay in the house after, maybe for another month, they need more time, you offer them to stay in the house for $1.
I think Hugh Hefner got that.
Pardon?
I think Hugh Hefner got that deal.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Oh, right.
Because that's his baby.
Yes.
He's an old man.
Yes.
I think he was 88 years old, something like that.
They let him stay.
So that was part of the deal, is you can buy the Playboy Mansion.
Right.
And I think they're super renovating that place, maybe even tearing it down.
Yeah.
It's weird to think that wouldn't be protected.
I know.
But this house across the street here in Larchmont would be.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just so much property and it's its own little neighborhood almost.
It is.
It's so big.
Holmby Hills.
Yes.
And I guess across the hedges he built, or there was a twin version of it too.
Is that right? Oh, I didn't know that.
And I think the person who bought the Hef house had also bought that. The Bumblebee Tuna Air.
No way. Oh, wow.
Well, also is the
That's
hostess
funny.
Twinkie person too.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Allegedly. Okay, the final question from Monica is, what is the biggest misconception about luxury in this market?
Um,
Is it that every house is $5 million and not worth it?
yeah, so she's referring to like LA, right? Like
Yes.
the biggest misconception about luxury. Yeah, I mean, to me, luxury is like there's a house that's on the market. I think it's on Muirfield or Rimpaw, I can't remember. It's like $21 million. It's like crazy. But it was, interestingly, it was 25 million and it didn't sell. So that tells you like it was too high, you know. Granted, 20 million is high anyway, but I saw the photos. I didn't get into it on Tuesday, but it has its own, of course, theater. All of these have their own theater. They have the tennis court. They have all the crazy grounds, like 20,000 square foot lots and bigger. But this one had a barber stool and like its own little barber shop.
Black people.
I mean, I was like,
Right?
who owns it? Yeah. I was like, I need to be
Has to
friends
be.
with these people.
It's like Snoop Dogg
For real.
would have a barbershop.
Right.
And we're black, we can say this.
Uh-huh. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, if I could like bring my person in and like have them cut my hair in my own house in a barber stool.
Okay, maybe. But, and this is, believe it or not, the real reason I'm sad I'm bald. I loved going to black
I
barber
know.
shops. I miss that.
You know, there was one here on Larchmont. There was a Larchmont barber. He was awesome. He moved.
A black barber?
He wasn't black. He's
That's what I'm
Latino.
I want the black experience.
Yeah.
Because there is no better black experience for men,
Yeah. Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Because there's a basketball game on, even if it's a rerun.
Yes.
The only reruns of basketball games I've ever seen have been in barbershops.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, to get back to like luxury, like when I think of luxury, that's what I think of, like just pristine, perfect. I mean, I would argue that like a lot of the houses that I see, even in the $5 million range, are not luxury per se. I think that's a lot in Beverly Hills and, you know.
My belief about super expensive houses. Do you have a term for that?
Oh,
Is there a real estate term for that?
I mean, I'm sure there is.
When I was
I don't
stripping,
know.
they would call the guy with the deep pockets the whale. Get any whales today?
Oh, okay. I see.
You guys don't have that. You're so high class, Alex.
Oh.
Everybody's just the same.
Oh, no.
Oh, they're just all clients. They're all the same. Anyways, the whales of real estate, if I
Yeah.
were an agent,
Yeah.
I would think would be Middle Easterners,
Yes.
Chinese,
Yeah. Yeah.
or people from other foreign lands who have to get their money out of the unstable banks of wherever they are. And the easiest way to do it is to put it in real estate. Ooh, also money launderers. I've been watching Ozark. Mm-hmm. Have you watched Ozark?
Oh, yeah.
What a
Love
great place
Ozark.
to dump your money, right?
Yeah.
And maybe overpay.
My good friend is one of the the writer-creator for Ozark.
Please
Yeah.
tell your friend I love that
I will.
show so
I
much.
will tell him.
So
yeah.
much.
He's a fantastic guy.
I mean, the cast is perfect. Too. Like, everything they did was perfect in that movie.
Perfect. I love that show.
Is real estate a great place to money launder?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, you know, especially in Southern California, like incredible. It's always a good investment. I mean, like,
But even if
know,
you just want to just get rid of $10 million real fast, you might want to just buy an $8 million house for $10 million.
Well, you know, it's funny. I don't know the exact rules or laws around this, but I do recall, you know, there was a moment when there were a lot of Chinese folks buying properties in and around Los Angeles, and they were, you know, it was under an LLC, and it was very unclear who was really buying it. And then there was some kind of kibosh put on that where they had to reveal who the actual owners were.
Yes.
And so there were, I do recall that happening, you know.
Is there any onus on the realtor to do that kind of due diligence? Or baby, it's business.
I mean,
The check cleared.
yeah. I mean, honestly, like, you know, whoever reaches out to you, I've only ever really worked with the real buyers. So
Yeah.
I do have a couple folks who have business managers, and I will sometimes have to work with them, but ultimately the client is the buyer. So yeah, I haven't really, I mean, if somebody comes to me and says, I have a client, meaning I'm a business manager, whatever, who wants to purchase something. We don't want to talk about who it is yet. It's very hush hush, whatever.
And you keep it hush hush because you don't want them to bump up the price.
Oh yeah, right.
If they find out it's Snoop Dogg, they're going to
Sure.
say,
Oh, Snoop can afford it.
But isn't that the reason that you hide the buyer?
Yeah, and also I think there's a lot of buyers who, if they are famous or if they have just money, they don't want people knowing who they are, where they live. They don't want, but there are ways to find out. Like I think you were talking about like the big rollers, the heavy hitters here.
Yeah.
So Shonda Rhimes, her.
Of course.
Yeah. So she has owned a couple houses in the Hancock Park area, and she sold one that she totally like redid, and I think it was in the $22 million range. And interestingly, who bought it? He is, I think he's an Orthodox Jewish man who is a big developer, and he was like, I want more properties. He owns like a lot in Florida and all over. There is a big Jewish population here in Hancock Park, and they own a lot.
Yes.
They own a lot, like because they need to be able to walk to the synagogues on La Brea.
And I love seeing them walk.
Yeah.
Because LA's diverse anyways, especially religiously diverse. And when you see these Orthodox Jews with their suits, and even the young kids in their suits, I think it's fascinating to look at.
They need a lot of bedrooms too.
Do they?
They really do. They have a lot of kids. I talked to one agent she's part of the community, and she was very funny. She's very open, and she's just like, oh yeah, honestly, I think she looked at least 10 years younger than me, and she's like, yeah, I got 5 kids. And one's like 18. I was like, oh my God. She's like, we're crazy.
Do you have any chance on selling the houses to Orthodox Jews, or do they want Orthodox Jew realtors?
I do think that there are folks who go to the same agents within their community, but when I've had listings in their neighborhood, like where they want to be, they'll just come directly to you. They'll just be like, I'll buy it.
Oh.
Or I want it. What do I need to do?
I love that.
Oh, okay.
Alex, you have been fantastic.
Thank you, Tony.
Tell me just
Thank you so
a few
much.
more things about Larchmont as we give Jordan a break.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention about Larchmont, and a lot of people say this, like, why are there so many coffee shops on Larchmont? Like, there's like 5 or 6, and then of course the ice cream stores. And I didn't know this, but I learned that there was a rule or a law that went into effect years ago to basically say that you couldn't have any bars or restaurants that served like hard alcohol on Larchmont. And that's why you don't really see like a restaurant or a bar, like
the sushi place. I can't get sake.
I think you can get sake, but some of them are grandfathered in. So like the Greek place, you can get wine and beer, but hard alcohol, like you can't get a drink. The only one that I know of is, and it was grandfathered in, it's Chandara, the Thai place.
I love that Thai place.
Yeah, it's really good. But I think they can serve hard alcohol because it's always been there. But I'm part of like a women's organization in the area. It's like 100-year-old women's organization. And we had a whole discussion about it. And there was a woman who came and spoke to us. She's fabulous. And she was like, yeah, we're trying to open up the conversations again. Like, she's part of what's called the Larchmont Business District. It has a little district. Mm-hmm. And she's like, this is really difficult. Like, how many more coffee shops do we need? But that's the only kinds of businesses aside from clothing or, the ice cream shops. Like, we want just a restaurant and we want to be able to order a martini with our thing. But I think years ago, whenever the area residents said, no, we have to control this. This was pre-Uber, You know,
Right.
People were driving drunk. They were afraid that people were going to piss and vomit on their lawns, on their beautifully landscaped lawns. And like it was going to keep them up past 10 o'clock, you know,
Right.
like they didn't want that. But now, like there's a lot of younger families and you know, you want to be able to walk to your local restaurant, bar, sit at the bar, order a little entree, have a martini and walk home.
Or a glass of wine.
Right.
Plus,
well, you can order some wine at a couple places, but it's very limiting.
But isn't beer and wine like what makes a restaurant profitable?
It is, but it's also like if you think about like, you know, sorry, I'm pouring something.
That's okay.
You know, when you think about like a martini and you think about how small a martini is and it's like $14 or $15 or $18, like, you know, a bottle of vodka costs what, 20 something dollars? Like,
Not
you
even.
can make so much money off
Right.
of one martini.
But that's what I'm saying.
know?
If you love your Italian restaurant, let them sell the booze. That's going to keep them business.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been a real thing. Like it's been a you know, people are trying to figure out how to change that. So anyway, that was just one thing I wanted to say.
That's a
about,
great one.
Like Larchmont.
Okay,
Right.
once again, shout out to your. We're in where now?
So yeah, so this is Keller Williams Larchmont, and yeah, it's a
118 Larchmont.
North Larchmont. Yeah.
You are across the street from the Creation
And
and
Jenny's
an ice cream store,
Yep.
Jenny's Ice Cream.
Yep.
How much is a scoop of ice cream on this block?
Oh, I think it's probably $4 or $5.
Isn't that
You know,
nuts?
but that's a big. You know, I think. But
fucking
they have
better
the
be.
little ones.
You've got kids.
I know.
Does a 13-year-old still want an ice cream when they walk by the?
Oh my God, every time. Or Jamba. It's like every single
Really?
time. Oh my God.
Kids want Jamba Juice.
Oh yeah. Well, mine does. I don't, yeah.
You have a 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
What school does she go to?
She's out in the valley. She's at Walter Reed, and it's a big public school out there, but they have these like little learning communities within the school, and so she's in one of those.
How does she get there?
She's in a carpool. Like we have a carpool, and so there's a really great elementary here called 3rd Street Elementary. It's at June and 3rd.
Hold on, though.
But she went there. She's just in middle school now.
But I hear all this jibber jabber of, oh, we want to move to this area because it's got great schools or it doesn't have great schools. My sister has kids, and she ended up in the best part of the suburbs and still took her kid to a damn private school. I was like, you could have stayed at home and done that. You're shipping your kids over the hill.
Yeah. Well, so my daughter.
But hold on. This part of town doesn't have great schools?
Well, so it's in pockets. So the elementary school that goes up to 5th grade, my kids did go there. And
Okay.
it's right here. We're zoned for it. It's called 3rd Street Elementary. It's right at June and 3rd.
Okay.
Adorable school. Muhammad Ali's kids went there. He used to live in the neighborhood in Fremont Place, which
Did he
is
really?
crazy. Fremont Place is right at the end of Rossmore and Wilshire. It's gated.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning. Yeah.
Was he on the other side of the gates?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in Fremont Place.
I Ubered Danny Elfsman, an engineer, over there.
Oh, is that right?
Have you spent any time over there?
Yeah, I went through his house.
It was creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Because there's no trees.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's very, like, you can walk,
You can't walk.
everywhere in there, but you can't get out. Like, you get out and you're on Wilshire. It's super weird.
I totally understood why Danny Elfman wanted to be in there. Because it seems like out of Nightmare on Christmas Time, right?
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
I went through when Muhammad Ali's house was for sale. Of course, the family didn't own it at the time when it was for sale. This is a couple years ago. I happened to walk in right as his daughter was walking through. And I just sort of followed her around because she was like, I remember when my dad's office was right here. And I used to come in and he used to blah, blah, blah. And then we used to do this here and that there. I'm like, oh my God. It was like, I wish I'd had a recorder on because she was so interesting, like talking about it. But his kids did go to 3rd Street Elementary, which is what it's zoned for. So then the 3rd Street Elementary here in Hancock Park, there's Ivanhoe School in Silver Lake. That's a really great one.
Yep.
There's the folks typically send their kids to Franklin Elementary, which is another one in Silver Lake or Los Feliz.
Yeah.
Atwater has a good one.
But still, those seem like kind of a trek to me that I just spent $5 million on a house.
Yeah.
And I gotta get the nanny, I guess, to drive her.
Yeah.
Or carpool.
The hard part is, so in the neighborhood, I would argue that Third Street Elementary is a fantastic public elementary. What gets trickier is the middle school, because you're like, okay, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks who don't send their kid to the middle school and the zoned middle school. So, for example, I'm zoned for Bancroft. Is it called Bancroft? Yeah, it's up on, it's like east of Highland, and it's like Las Palmas and Willoughby. It's like right there. And then there's another one that's in the neighborhood here that's called Burroughs, John Burroughs, which is a really nice looking school. It's brick, it's beautiful, super historical looking. And yeah, unfortunately, once kids get beyond elementary, they stop sending them to the public. But my kid goes to a public school. She just goes to the one in the Valley because of the particular program.
What it's a specific arts program or something?
It's called the Individualized Honors Program, and you apply for it, and you have to take a test, and you have to get recommendations. I mean, it's crazy to think that out of elementary they had to do this, but it's a really great program. I love it.
You have been fantastic.
You, Tony.
I need to win the lottery. And I want Muhammad Ali's old house in a creepy fucking neighborhood with no trees. Because I'm going to walk around with no pants on and see
There's nowhere to hide.
See who yells at me.
You know what, Tony? I think we should get you into something. You should be building your equity. You should lay down your roots.
I'm a podcaster. I'm going to be driving Uber very soon to support this thing. I got no equity.
I am so stoked for you. I love your podcast.
Thank you. You do, actually.
I do. I really do.
You've been reaching out to me for a while.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to have lunch.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw that. I need to talk to you on the record. I did not think it was going to be this good.
Oh, my God. Thanks, Tony.
So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm truly honored. Really, because I have such a secret desire to do podcasting myself.
You do?
I want to do something about real estate, and I don't know, because I used to work in documentary film, so I was a journalist.
Yes.
So I really love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
How great was Alex? You know who we'd sell our house to, even if it was haunted? Our Patreons. When you stoke us, you're saying, Tony, Jordan, here's a nice sandwich from up the block. Here's 3 hours of parking at the Grove. Here's a beautiful bundt cake and a pop. Every donation you hand over helps us keep this insane project a-rolling. So shout out to our Patreons, Nancy Rommelman, Sean Atlow, Matt Mills, Sean Wallace, Greg and Molly, Jamie Taylor, Mark Johnson, Kira Ann, Barney Grinke, Ben Welch, Henry Furman, Jen Adams, The Lonely Chair, Trevor Wilson, and Bree Wild. Want to hear your name at the end of next week's show? Go to patreon.com/hereinla and give till it hurts. Also, shout out to our Angelinos. To be an Angelino, just PayPal $25 or more, and we will put you on the Here in LA website that Mr. Mark Johnson is building right now, and it'll last there forever. You'll also be given a number to denote how early you got in to make this dream come alive. Angelino number 1 is Allie Miller. 2, George Wright. 3, Rita Joanne. 4, Jason Sutter. 5, Grant Houghton. 6, Rob Baker. 7, Kev Cheng. And 8 is Brenda Garcia. Just PayPal your hard-earned cash to bustblog@gmail.com. Want to support us, but you're in escrow? You can still help. Post your favorite episode on Facebook. You know, where the group is. Or better yet, on your own wall. If you want, post 2. Tweet something nice about us and tell your friends. Tell them how Here in LA is spelled. It's on Apple Podcasts and Google and Spotify. Here in LA is produced by myself, Tony Pierce, and a man who makes some mean cheese grits, Jordan Katz. Editing, mixing, and music supervision by Jordan Katz. Songs by Orgone and Jordan Katz. Special thanks to Cindy for creating the logo, Jen for inspiring this, and Alex for reaching out and saying, let's hang. Long live the Daily Nexus.